Welcome to the first episode of my series, The Tryhard Experience. This will be a podcast docu-series following me, my progress in Overwatch. I'm the old nerd gamer and I love to play competitive esports, especially Overwatch. How good can an elderly 37-year-old man become? Right training, right gear, mindset. Also given time constraints of having a family and full-time work. Here you will be following me behind the scenes, seeing everything I do, seeing how far I can improve. I've been playing Overwatch since it first launched, 3 years, and I've played every competitive season, and my top ranking is as Masters with Anna when she was totally OP, and I just nano boosted Genjis. So I'm currently at around 3,100 as Widowmaker. Yeah, let's see how far I can take this. So I just had my first coaching sessions, and I think the key to success in anything is to find people that are better than you and let them teach you. Here you're gonna hear my thoughts. This is recorded right after the coaching session. I just hit play and started talking, so it's a bit of rambling and not well thought out, but I compose myself later. Okay, so initial thoughts. It's good. Nothing I didn't really know before. Is it worth $10? Yeah, probably. I made crosshair placement as the big one, and taking off angles. Crosshair placement I didn't really think about, but off angles I've been thinking about and not contesting, and just to hear someone else at that level talk about the stuff. And yeah, I'm not sure how I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do it every week. Is it beneficial to do it every week? Will they say same things? But I mean, it was definitely worth the money. Just having somebody thinking about your game other than you, and or even if it is for an hour, gives a lot. I heard on another podcast or on a podcast that a coach, a famous coach, he not a Overwatch coach, but a life coach and economical coach. He visits his coach still every other 2 weeks, and they asked, "Why do you as so successful?" He said, "It's very good that just to have somebody focus on you for an hour every 2 weeks." And talking about his stuff, and it could be anything from like business decision to minor things. How do I make whatever more efficient? So I think that's a good general practice to have, is to think of yourself as coachable, to, I mean, put down money and time and effort into making yourself better rather than spending that money on other frivolous things. If you enjoy doing that stuff or whatever it is you enjoy doing, be better at it, because usually it's more fun. And I mean, to strive to be better and strive to perfection should be drives, and at least it is what drives and motivates me. Maybe one of the reasons I like to play off meta heroes is if you're really good, then that shouldn't matter. I mean, if you hit every shot 100% in the head as McCree or Widowmaker, then meta doesn't matter, and you have perfect positioning all the time. But yeah, not sure where I was going with that tangent, but off meta, yeah, because if you put down the time and you focus on only one hero and you strive for perfection and you strive to get better, I mean, if you're good enough, then you should win every game. I wasted a lot of time, both in Overwatch and previous esports, not training, not practicing, not focusing on my own game, developing it, but rather just performing, playing games, playing scrims, they're called nowadays. In my days, they were called PCWs. That's a different story, but I got some good tips on how to make callouts, minor details I haven't been using, a lot of on positioning, but I've been feeling that myself, that I'm lacking that part. Crosshair placement was another thing I wasn't doing that well. Yeah, just being non-existent in a lot of fights and not positioning myself properly was the main theme. But I'm gonna rewatch it, and will it have a huge impact on my game tonight? Probably not. I genuinely believe I can become, I don't want to say top 500, but Grandmaster, and just by refocusing and taking an active role in my development rather than just, I don't know the English word for it, but just casually playing along, hoping I get better. I'm going to reposition better after encounters as Widow. Going to be a lot smarter about my positioning. I'm going to end at 3300 SR. I think I'm around 3200, a bit above. And I'm going to have better positioning, hug corners, and things along those lines. So 3300, repositioning after bad encounters, take off angles, smarter wall usage. I asked the coach about aim practicing, and he said he doesn't do any specific. He plays deathmatch and he plays and he grinds the ladder. My experience is that repetition is the key to mastery, as I think Sunyata says. But even if it is against a bot that he didn't suggest using, but even if it is against a bot, that your muscle memory gets trained, and when you do it slow or static 10,000 times or whatever, when it's in real life or when it's in game, when it matters, and that routine takes over, and you've seen it so many times, and things that you're really bad at, and you try to do them the first time, if you practice them once a week, twice a week for 10-15 minutes over 6 months, even though you're doing them slowly at the beginning, and even if you're doing slowly when you're practicing like shadow boxing or whatever, you get better at it, and you will be able to land it in sparring or in games or in real life. So I'm going to continue to do that. So I'll do it 50-50. I also feel I'm understanding mercy movement and timing much better after doing it in the practice range. And also, I agree with the deathmatch part. He said that that's more real life and you have other people focusing. I really think deathmatch is a good training because you get a lot of encounters, you get a lot of duels, and you're pressured all the time. A tip I've picked up from Kefri. I watch a lot of Kefri. I think he has a fun playstyle. He produces a lot of content. He cuts out good Widow matches he plays and puts on YouTube, which makes it easily consumable. I will put up links to stuff I see for him future, but he had a remark when he did a VOD review is don't hook the ground when you're escaping, and I hook the ground too much when I'm escaping. You should hook high ground and things like that. But so a tip is don't hook the ground, hook high ground when you're escaping, and also be more mindful with your mines. Put them in positions where they will give you valuable information. Mind the flanks was his remark, but don't just spam them in. It looks like sometimes he does that, but then he will probably have like good overview of where the enemy team is, and he knows that nobody's coming there, and he can just chug them in. And sometimes you just want to ult charge, I assume, but be more mindful of it. Also, I saw one guy mining in front of him. When he Widow dueled, the Widow hit the mine, and he survived and killed the other person. I don't remember if it was Kefri, but it was something I saw, and that's a good tip, in my opinion. Yeah, I touched on it earlier, but mechanics, that's, I feel, is my main thing to work on. A lot of times I get into positions where I am able to take clear shots on squishes, and I fail it. And if I could get more consistent, sometimes I can just hit a lot, but if I can get more consistent, I would make a huge more impact. And I'm between 300 and 3,000 and 3,500 in SR. That's with me being, in my opinion, real noob mechanically, and being not a real noob, but inconsistent, having really high highs, not really, but high highs and low lows. If I can get that to a much more consistent state of hitting shots, of aiming, of contributing to the team, of not wasting ults, being more mindful of when I use walls is another thing. I really feel I could hit 3.7, 3.8. One thing I really enjoy is being a specialist. I played Anna when she was off meta. I played her for way too long and way too much, and I got a bit jaded, but I liked that she was off meta, and I liked that it was hard for me because I felt she was OP. I felt that she could contribute and hard carry so much. And if my mechanics were better, if I would have hit every sleep, every nade, every shot, then just it wasn't fun anymore. And when I started playing DPS again, and I don't mind the queue times, I would rather queue 10 minutes and have a fun DPS game than coming into a game and people switching around. And when I pick DPS, that if you're playing Widow, you might lose to Widow Duel twice, and then they're like, oh, swap, and then they start tilting, and you don't get a full game to play as her to prove your game. So I never got the chance to play DPS. How much does a coach add? I touched on it earlier about being coachable, and you should always listen to what professionals say. You should always reevaluate everything you know about, basically everything, but especially about something like this, that people have so much more higher tier, higher level, higher skill rate than you. Should be super open to whatever they have to say. You don't know what tidbit it could be that brings you to the next level. Things click. They usually, progression leaps comes in. They're not, how do you say, linear. They come in steps. I need to take it to the next platform, to the next level. And a lot of other things might start to click as well. I will be reviewing my gear. Do I have the correct stuff? I think I have, but does that make an impact? Another thing I noticed when watching Kefri is he's patient. He's okay with not contributing for a few seconds, taking an angle, being patient, waiting for the right shot, not taking shots he knows he won't hit. And that's a strength I'm trying to learn. I get so excited. I get eager. I want to contribute. I'm still afraid of people getting mad. Not afraid, but I'm still scarred by the old Overwatch pre 2-2 roll lock. Let's put it that way. Avoiding the bad duels. That I think I've touched on it 3 times today, but that's my main thing. I get so overconfident. I get vindictive. I want to revenge. If I lost a duel, I want to retake the same duel. I want to be better. I want to beat people at their own game. If I want to out-aim, and that's something I need to work on. I've had coaching session, and I've played a couple of hours, and I've had a day to think of it. And did it have an effect on me? Yes. Did it have less of an effect than I expected? Yes. I don't think I'll continue with him. I don't think he's the right coach for me. I'm looking for something more in depth. The big picture. I felt like some of the questions I had, I got cookie cutter answers. And I had a discussion about this with a couple of friends of mine. And of course, I send in VODs where I lose and where I'm at my worst, because there is probably where I can improve the most. But I should have sent in a proper representation of who I am. And this is what I mean when I say I want to work longer with a coach and have more in-depth relationship, because I want the coach to know my highs, I want the coach to know my lows, and I want the coach to know my middle, my normal, my whatever. And when you have the full picture, you can put in the correct practice routines, what to focus on. I got a few tips. One thing that I thought was really interesting is his target priority is DPS first and healer second. And he mentioned that in pro metas, or in the last pro meta, I think if I remember correctly, he said that tanks then was the primary targets, but now it's DPS. And I asked him, so if you get a clean shot and you have a DPS or a healer to pick from, he said, I always go for DPS. And I've been thinking about that, and I'm going to try to adopt that a bit. He talked a lot about crosshair placement. The game I sent him was a really bad game. I was aiming really off and I couldn't hit shit. So he was like, okay, put your crosshair placement properly and just relax, and the rest will come. He said when he has bad aiming days, that's what he does, and it usually figures itself out, so to say. But overall, I'm happy about it. It was well spent money. I got some good notes, and just being able to talk Overwatch with that level or caliber of a player for 1 hour is worth $15 in my opinion. Talked a lot about positioning and off angles, and I've been contemplating this myself, and I've been working on this myself. I find it hard to take the off angles. I don't want to be out of the fight for too long, because then I feel I'm not contributing. Maybe I need to take a bit more time and plan out these off angles before I get into fights. I'm starting to gathering positions on maps, and I'm going to put them in a wiki or webpage or whatever, and I'm going to load them up every time I get on that match. And hopefully that will give me more inspiration for more angles and more good spots. Also, a bit about how to call out targets when you're focusing them out. Just calling out widow, tracer, or whatever. It's spammy, but yeah, it seems like to be the communication style of Overwatch. When I played CS a long time ago, we kept callouts to minimal and super precise. I get tunnel vision. I need to be aware of flankers, and I need to play around them. I mean, there were a couple of times where I saw the flankers, but I didn't react to them. Instead, I tunnel visioned on getting my pick, the target I had chosen. So that I need to work on as well. My goals for this session for the weekend, it was to reach 3,300. I was close, but I've lost a lot of games. I just lost one, which was, I'm going to have a look at the VOD, but it feels crazy that we lost it. I might use that one for VOD review for next week. It was a King's Row map, and I got to play some Widow. I felt I did. See, this is my main problem with Widow. I can do stuff, and then I do nothing. I'm not consistent. I felt we could win this if my team has picked up some slack, and because we had a couple of fights where we got a lot of picks and we should have won, but then we had a lot of fights where I did nothing. So, I mean, is it my fault then? Yes, every game is my fault, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah, I had a lot of losses, and I ended on 30.99, I think, something like that, but it's below 3,100. I thought for this weekend, I've been playing this whole weekend, I thought that I set small goals, just 50 more SR, just 2 wins overall on the whole night, 2 plus wins, and I'm taking a small step forward, and it felt doable. But for next week, it's 30 to 50. That's going to be my goal on Tuesday. For next episode, I will be adding a VOD review with a new coach. I'm going to find someone that looks nice on Fiverr and take it from there. Not really happy with the one I had. It's okay, but didn't feel that connection really. Might need to schedule him for more sessions. I mean, I was happy with it, and I could see myself doing more sessions with him, but let's test the waters and see what else is out there. So I'll see you in a week, and I stream Tuesday nights. That's my gaming night. Take care.